Hey everybody, Teresa here with Cosmetology Exam Review in the Intentional Classroom. And I am here today in sunny Florida. You know, I'm bouncing all over this country right now, speaking and visiting schools and working with students. Today I happen to be in Florida, so I could not pass up doing some work in the sunshine. Also because we're talking about something that kind of sucks, right? We're going to talk about the dreaded nail structure. I know for most cosmetology students, nails and skin is where it gets a little fuzzy, right? Skin disorders, which I'm going to do one on, nail disorders, which I'll also do, but also nail structure and memorizing what part of the nail is what and how we remember that stuff. So I've kind of come up with some creative ways maybe to remember this stuff, but we're going to go through quickly the nail physiology, the actual structure of the nail today. Okay, so I get it. You signed up for school because of artistry. You wanted to create beauty, right? You wanted to make people feel beautiful. You're artists. And then you get there and you realize, oh my God, I have to learn a bunch of science, right? I have to learn the anatomy of a nail and the anatomy of the skin. I have to learn all these disorders. And that's not really why we wanted to get into the business. But the reality is you do have to know that stuff so that we don't damage anything. So I totally get it. But I'm hoping that if we break this down into some bite-sized pieces for you, you're going to have more luck in really remembering the things that you need to remember. So that's what we're going to do today. Today we hit the nail structure and we really kind of talk about what are the different parts of that nail, things that we see every day in our hands. But why would we ever know that until we came to beauty school, right? So as always, if you're liking what I'm doing, subscribe, share, do all the things. All right, now I gotta say that, right? Now we're gonna jump into that nail structure. So I have gotten fancy with this and did some animation, so we'll see how this goes. We're going to review really quickly the different parts, and then I'm going to go into some ways to try to remember what's what. Okay, so here's some of our nail structure. We start with the hyponychium. That's a little piece of skin right underneath your nail right here, that free edge. The free edge is the nail that actually hangs over. That's the hyponychium underneath. It's a thickened layer of skin right underneath that. What it's doing is protecting the actual nail from bacteria going into it, okay? So it's this skin right underneath the nail here. That is your hyponychium, okay? The next one is the nail groove, like groove is in the heart, right? So this is the area between the nail plate, which is this guy right here, and this fold of skin here. So it's that actual groove next to your nail. That is your nail groove, okay? Seems obvious. Then you have your nail wall. The nail wall is also known as the side wall. It's the skin next to the groove here that overlaps the sides of the nail, hence the side wall, the nail wall, okay? All right, the next one is the nail bed. So this is the skin underneath the hard part. Okay, we'll talk about the hard part in a few seconds here, but the skin underneath that is your nail bed. It's providing all sorts of nourishment to your actual nail, to your fingers. Okay, so that's your nail bed. It is the skin that the nail plate actually sits on top of. Next, you have your matrix. This is the most important part of your nail. If you damage the matrix of your nail, there is a high probability the nail will not grow back. So it's the factory, okay? This is where all of your nail cells are formed. Chances are your state board will ask you what part of the nail is responsible for the growth of nail cells. It's the matrix. This is where you find the lymph, the blood, and the nerves, okay? It's also where we have the most pain. So if we smash our finger in a door and it turns all purple and it's hurting so bad, we've probably damaged the matrix. It's all the way down here at the base of the nail, okay? Next, you have your free edge, which I kind of mentioned already. There's not much to say about it. The free edge really is just the nail that hangs over the hyponychium, the nail that grows out past the nail. So, you know, girls who have long nails have a long free edge, all right? Your nail plate is the actual hard keratin plate that sits on the nail, but it's the nail. The nail plate is the nail, okay? It's made of keratin, just like your hair, your skin, all of the things, which means the pH is about 4.5 to 5.5, okay? Next is the lanula. The lanula is a little half moon shape. It's the only visible part of the matrix. So remember, the matrix is all the way down at the bottom. And if you look closely, there's usually a little half moon shape right over by your cuticle there. That's the lanula. Half moon is lanula, okay? Next, you have your cuticle. Most people have heard the term cuticle before. This is dead, colorless tissue. It actually seals the space between the living plate or the nail plate and the living skin, which is the eponychium we'll talk about in a second. So it's actually, we cut that back because it can grow very jagged, it can get very rough, it can get very dry and cracked because it's actually dead skin. So it's this little flap of skin that grows onto your nail there, okay? Finally, we have the mantle, which is also known as the eponychium, okay? This is the skin that covers the matrix down here, right next to your cuticle. So it's right here. So it's a lot of people confuse the cuticle and eponychium or the mantle, but really all it is that that eponychium or mantle is the skin part, and then the cuticle is the dead skin that kind of grows over the nail. Now, that's all fine and dandy, right? Because you can sit here and try to memorize this, but we need some creative ways to remember these things. So I don't know if these will work for you, but we're going to try. All right. So we start with the Matrix. It's the factory. So I think of the movie The Matrix and thinking of Neo. And what happens in that movie is he becomes aware of the Matrix, where all of reality is actually housed, right? And so when you think about the Matrix, when he enters into the Matrix, now he sees how everything is working, everything where, where they keep all the bodies of the people that are held on the things. And I mean, maybe this isn't making sense to you, but I think of the movie Matrix because that's his reality. That's where he walks into and everything is happening in real life. That's the Matrix. Well, the Matrix of your nail is the same. That's where everything is happening in real life. Maybe that's a stretch. I mean, whatever helps, right? Then you have your nail bed, right? Our bed, when we lay in bed, it supports us for rest. Okay. We lay in the bed, we get rest, we get nourishment, we get, our body kind of recovers, and your nail bed's doing the exact same thing for your nail plate. Okay. The nail plate is you laying in the bed. Okay. So the nail plate and anything we put on it is getting nourishment from that nail bed. It's where it can rest and relax. Okay. Sleeping in bed nourishes our body. The nail plate sits in that nail bed and gets that nourishment. Okay. Then we talked about the nail wall. It's the literal wall of our nail, right? Is the wall around the nail. It's the skin that overlaps the side. So that one I feel like is pretty self-explanatory, but remember that's that skin. Whereas the nail groove is that crease right between the nail plate and the wall. A groove is a crease. If you think about two walls that come together, there's a crease between or a groove between the two of them, right? Where that corner is. It's the exact same thing in your nails. You have the nail wall and then you have the groove right next to it. And there's that crease there, which is your nail groove. Hyponychium, as we said, is that skin under the free edge of your nail. This is kind of a stretch, but when we're hyper, we tap our fingers. I'm tapping it. You can't tell I'm tapping it. I'm literally tapping the hyponychium. Okay. So when I'm hyper, I tend to tap my hyponychium, hyper. If it helps, it helps. I don't know if it's going to help you, but it's worth a shot. Nail plate, your actual nail. This is the hard stuff, right? We put food on a hard plate so that it's nice and solid for us. Our actual nail is a hard plate of keratin. Okay. Lunula, think lunar as in moon, lunar eclipse. It's a half moon shape. It is the only visible part of our matrix. The cuticle is not cute to have a jagged cuticle, jagged skin overlapping your nail. So just remember that cuticle, it is not cute to have jagged cuticles on your hand. Okay. And then finally, the mantle or the eponychium. The mantle in our house is the shelf above the fireplace. And the mantle on your finger is the skin above the cuticle. It's like a shelf above the cuticle. So think of it that way and just try to remember that mantle and eponychium are the same thing. The best way to memorize this stuff is flashcards, right? If you're not using things like Quizlet yet, it's time. I'm also a big proponent of actually writing out your own flashcards. I know, old school style, I'm old, I get it, but anything where you can actually physically write something down is going to help you remember. But if you don't have time for that, at least download Quizlet so that even when you're sitting at a stoplight, you can be reviewing the structures of the nails, okay? So check us out, guys. If you haven't subscribed, please do. We have an entire playlist called Cosmetology Exam Review. It's all free videos for you where I really try to break down all of the things you need for your theory exam in bite-sized pieces so that you're more prepared for the state board. Share with all of your classmates, share with your classes. Really, I mean, I'm here to help. This is what I'm trying to do, is provide these resources for you all. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you joining me. Check us out, subscribe, do all the things. This is what we're here for, is to offer you inspiration and resources. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you are having a stellar day.